Hey guys, welcome back for another episode of The Suited Shootist. And what I wanted to talk about this week is kind of a little bit of a word of caution for people. And it's going to be especially relevant if you've come to this channel kind of from the firearm space and you have an interest in improving your image and your style. Before I get into that real quick, if you're a new subscriber, thank you so much. I really appreciate you signing up. I appreciate all the support. If you haven't already, the Bespoke Solutions Facebook page is a phenomenal resource if you are interested in exploring a lot of the material that I talk about further. It's a great community that we've got a ton of phenomenal discussion going on. And if you are getting some mileage out of the channel and you want to support it directly, I would very much appreciate it if you signed up to the Patreon as well. I've got a link for all that stuff down below. Aside from that, I want to just kind of jump into it because one of the main reasons that I started The Suited Shootist was the fact that on the tactical side of things, air quotes, I didn't see a lot of folks putting out content that I could point to and go, that looks like my lifestyle. You know, a lot of the guys were either current or prior military or law enforcement, so a lot of their lifestyle either revolved around carrying a firearm or there was an expectation for them carrying a firearm. But that's not really what this is about. On the style side of things, there were a couple of influencers, a couple of content creators out there who did choose to kind of dabble in addressing concealed carry. They would touch on the topic periodically. Obviously no one really delved super deep into it because I guess they didn't want to run afoul of YouTube, and it can be a polarizing subject, so they didn't want to limit their reach and their audience. The problem is that from all outward appearances, these guys were very casual gun carriers. And I say that based on the equipment that they were recommending as well as the carry methods. One of them, legitimately in his thumbnail of EDC stuff, there was a Beretta Jetfire that was featured. And yeah, it'll work, but if you talk to anybody that's kind of been around, they'll tell you that if you're going to carry a small pocket gun like that, 22 or 32, that those are not necessarily beginner options. You know, those require some commitment, at least to understand the capabilities of them so that you can be effective with them if that's what you're going to carry. And it's a very niche thing. So you've got these style influencers that are kind of tacitly recommending these expert level guns because they don't necessarily know any better. There was another one where virtually the entire concealed carry video was revolving around sticky holsters. Now, I don't necessarily have a problem with that style of holster whenever you're talking about going into a pocket, but they liked them because they were able to just slip it into the waistband of their suit trousers, cover it up with a jacket, and go about their day. Well, again, if you've been following me for any period of time, hopefully you've had at least some exposure to the training community and you understand how problematic that recommendation can be, because there is a very, very huge distinction between, being able to just kind of have a gun on you versus having it readily available in the conditions under which you're likely to need it. So none of the style guys had taken a training class, and none of the training class guys really cared about how they dressed. And so there were these kind of overlapping spheres of ignorance. And I don't say that in a pejorative fashion. I just talk about like literally lack of information. So yeah, make sure that you're getting your information about the right subjects from the right people. Because, for me, I know enough about both of those spaces to where I feel compelled to comment on it. Now, I'm not a firearms instructor, so I'm happy to share with people what I have figured out about how I've improved my own shooting, but I wouldn't deign to try and actually host a class on shooting mechanics for that reason. So just like I've talked about before on a couple of other subjects, vet your sources. Make sure that they have earned the right to the opinions that they're sharing. Because especially when we're talking about stuff like this, I mean, I did my video on how your concealed carry gear is personal protective equipment, and it needs to be held to similar standards. So when you're talking about emergency life-saving rescue gear, make sure that you're evaluating it appropriately, and the people making recommendations need to be evaluated appropriately as well. So, yeah. That's kind of my little takeaway, is if you are following any of the style influencer pages, and there's a couple decent ones out there, I wouldn't put too much credence into what they have to say about concealed carry. It's on the up curve of that Dunning-Kruger curve. So just a kind of a word of caution there, so that way you don't get caught in some of the same pitfalls that I did. I hope you found the video useful. If you have any questions on kind of the balance of wardrobe and concealed carry, let me know. Put them in the comments down below. I'll answer as many of them as I can. And aside from that, I hope everybody has a great week. Stay dangerous and stay sharp.